shows on your screen with the comic book scene. No one but Dan Shaheen.
Not really no one. I made that theme song back before Larry was the official co-host, but like, who is this? The show, it's really the show is the Dan and Larry show. I'll be honest. Like, it's not much without Larry. And it wasn't even going to be a show this week. But next week is San Diego Comicon, and the Young Clan is packing up in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or whatever weird sci-fi vehicle that they use, and they're trucking down to San Diego, and they're gonna have stuff to sell. Larry's already got his book. He's got bigger fish to fry than this show. He's got his book featured on CNN, or is it MSNBC or something? We'll talk about Larry's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. book a little bit, but really we're here to talk about the son of Fun, as you see here from the title screen, the son of Captain Fun, Walker Fun, some young Fun, something like that, whatever it is. Oh, wait, no, but we'll go in here. We'll come in here, the place where we go to think super hard about comics. And, if you want us to think super hard about your comics, you know where you can send them? You know where you can stick those comics? You can stick them in the $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. Here's how it works. You put it in your mailbox, your outgoing mailbox. I go to my mailbox. I open it up. I find it. I squeal with delight like a little girl. People are often like looking like, who's the weirdo giggling at the post office? And that's me, because how many of you open up your mailbox and find like wonderful comics in there that you didn't pay for? Not many of you. And those of you that do are running some kind of like mail order scam or whatever you're doing. So anyway, send those comics in to the $1 Million Mailbox in Arcata. I'll get them on the screen and I'll talk to them. I'll talk about them rather with a certain guy, that certain someone. You know him, you love him. Let's bring him in right now. You know him, Larry Young, Captain Fun. Hey, Larry, welcome back.
Sorry, Dan Shaheen. I think it's so fun when you say, I'm the official co-host. I'm like, nah, it's no one but Dan Shaheen. I'm just happy to be here.
You'll notice when it's just me, I usually don't use the $1 Million Mailbox branding. I know nobody pays attention. Nobody pays attention to like the various sub brands and like the things that I put all this thought and design and care into. Even people on the show don't notice it. So what hope do I have of other people noticing?
I was literally talking to Dave Porter about this, who you remember, of course, from series Star Trek. Did our Desilu badges. And he does a cool little review thing for Strange New Worlds. They're about 3, 4, 5 minutes long, and they're always like super entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
But nobody like seems to comment really. And so today I'm like, man, this is great. And he's like, I really appreciate it because nobody says anything. And I'm like, I think that's just the function of how we're at now, where actors are on strike and nobody's getting paid for anything. I think people are just like, that was fantastic, and then they go on to the next thing, forgetting to go, hey, I really enjoyed that, like you do in real life, and then go on to your next thing, right?
You're making me feel bad for not commenting on his stuff because...
Oh, no, not at all. It's just, I was actually talking to you where you're like, oh, I only have 2.5 million followers. I need 7 or whatever. And it's like, I think you actually have a lot more attention than you think you do.
Well, I'll say this. The fun part for me is the comics, so I should know better. If you like this stuff that's going on here, let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. If you don't like something, it's probably Larry's fault. If you do like something, you can give me the big ups that I obviously deserve. No, I'm just kidding. Give us your comments. We love them. You can give a thumbs up. I appreciate it. But I really love the comments. I've been looking through the old comments because, I get my master comments view where I get to see every comment happening on every video I've ever made.
Oh, that's right. Like Batman.
And so it's like stuff that we did years ago. People are in there like, Larry, how you really didn't take into consideration. As if you're
That's
going
great.
back and viewing every video and going through the comments of every video.
I love that. It's where we're at now. I keep saying that, like, yeah, Hollywood could close down for 5 years and no one would notice because there's so much shit to watch. And so I think, we put our little thing out and, 100 people look at it, and we appreciate it. It's great. But it's also awesome that, like, a year ago I said some foolish thing, and then this year somebody's angry about it. I'm like, well, that's cool. Welcome. I'm glad you, have such a passionate and emotional response to what I said. I don't remember. It might have been a joke, but thanks for watching.
Well, we've got an ethical dilemma because the strike is happening, and I'm a labor supporter. Live or die, I support labor. But we're in the middle of a season of Strange New World. So I feel like because that's already in the can and wrapped and everything is out, I'm okay to watch it, but I feel a little greasy. Maybe I'll torrent it. Because, dude, I'm firmly this could be the timing of this thing could be what really, it's not going to kill Hollywood. Because that's not a thing you can do, but it's going to disrupt the entertainment industry
things are
dramatically.
Different. I don't feel guilty about watching Strange New World or anything else now because that was done a year or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm going to feel squishy when stuff starts coming out, like in 2024, or like, have you seen the Fox TV? They announced their fall schedule already, and it's literally reality TV.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
There's like 3 cartoons because they have to work so ahead on. So Simpsons is fine, and American Dad, and whatever. What's the other one? Anyway, there was like three cartoons across the bottom, and then nonsense for 3 columns ahead of it. It was funny.
It's weird. It's a double-edged sword because while I believe in the power of labor, and I really do believe that the talent have like the keys to everything in this thing, I also feel like disrupting the major studios, I don't know, could be a good thing for the entertainment landscape more than anything.
It's going to hurt a lot of people in the short term. But once you start seeing, the average CEO is making $288 million, average studio head. And then they're like, yeah, but this background guy, you get a day's pay. We get to scan your face and use you forever.
Exactly.
It seems like a touch inequitable there.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
I'm not saying those CEOs aren't worth it. I'm just saying the background extras are worth it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody in between is worth it.
Yeah.
So just, and I get that money comes from somewhere, but, come on.
Okay, well,
spread it around.
In the meantime, speaking of disruption and things going away, I heard this is the last San Diego Comicon because all the movie studios have pulled out, Larry.
No, it's just the first of the modern San Diego Comic Cons again. Plus, a neat thing, I don't know if you know Mikey Sutton, that I'm a big fan of like Filipino food. And I somehow get a bunch of Filipino friends because of this. And so Mikey Sutton is a guy in the Philippines working on some stuff. And there's a new Voltron or something. I don't know. It's a big deal kaiju kind of thing. I don't know what to call it. But he's like single-handedly making sure that the planet knows about this project. And he brought up a great point that now all these Pinoy guys that are going to San Diego to promote their thing are like, like 2 years ago, you'd be like, oh, nice job, Filipino Power Rangers or whatever. But now it's like, oh my God, those guys are here? Like nothing else is going on. They're going to be the stars of the show. So I think it's neat. I don't think it's going to be the last San Diego show, but I think it's going to be the last one that has like such a giant Hollywood presence where they put cling wrap on whole hotels to try to get you to go see, Scott Pilgrim or something. I don't think that's going to be happening.
And friend of the show and known cranky guy, Bob Beerbaum, said on Facebook recently, he's like, the San Diego, people are coming to San Diego. That's their lifelong dream. It's not going away for a very long time, and probably not ever. It's not shrinking either. But almost every other regional con outside of Shelton Drum's Heroes Con It does not is heavily supported by like media stuff. It's like, come see the stars of Stargate SG-1 or whatever who's going to be here. And so those things could take a hit, but then again, that herd could use a little thinning anyway.
Yeah, I'm not real concerned about that. I'm actually though really looking forward to the show to see what happens, and because we got some good stuff coming.
Okay, before we bring in the young son of fun, tell me about your history with San Diego and your presence, and like what's the AIT setup like, and how'd that evolve?
Well, it started in 1995. I did I did the program guide, the program book for him, and I got a half table that I shared with Paul Guinan and Anna Bennett. And our half was $60 in Artist Alley, and it was
wow.
like
in 95, huh?
In 95, yeah. And I did the book in 96, and then I was like, okay, I got to start doing my own comic. So I attended. I don't think we had booths. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But in 98, I started. I know I had a booth then, because that's when the Astronauts in Trouble thing started. And so then we're publishers, and just I keep it as a. If we never take that booth, it immediately goes to someone else on the waiting list. So our booth space is actually a company asset. Like, so I can see a point where someday like Walker and I are just going to be sitting there and lazy. You know who else? Steve Ukrin and Mark Espinoza, who are in the comments. Did you see?
Yeah,
I love that. So that's our entire Planet Lair crew going down.
Well, so you've been going there since not just before your child was born, but before you met your wife, right? Or was it after?
No. Yeah, I met Mimi in 92. So
okay, but
she knew what she was getting into.
But then once you get a table at San Diego, you get like first dibs on keeping it, right? Every year.
You get the right of first refusal, right? It's like, no, if you keep buying your booth, we'll keep giving you the booth. Yeah, there we go. 2001. That was a happy accident. I forget when that happened. Like,
wow, you have booth 2001.
Yeah, I've had it.
Wow,
for 20
and you get
years.
To keep it. Oh, that's so awesome.
So that's why I don't want to move. That booth is gold. Like, Steve is so right. Steve and Mark know, like, because they're there as much as I am, maybe more even. And we have the two big air handlers between door B and door C. So it's not door A where the huge giant crowd is. It's between the second and third door. So everybody coming in is like really happy to be there, and they get hit by the air conditioning, and man, they just stop in front of it. What's this? I'm gonna just enjoy the fresh air, and then that's half our job, right? Just stop and look at something.
Okay, so when is the first year you start taking walk? And the reason I haven't brought him in yet is because these guys are in the same room, folks. I'm about to bring in Walker Young in the same room. So Captain Fun, we're gonna have to shut him down for a while, audio wise. So we're getting in this the funness now, if you will. But tell us, right? We're gonna bring in Walker right now. But first, tell us the Walker's addition and how he's fitting into the.
He was born 5 weeks before San Diego in 2007. So that was pretty stressful. I'm like, here's your child, and enjoy this giant stress of a show. But so I just went there with baby pictures, and everybody was super happy. But so obviously you can't bring, I mean, people do, but I'm not going to bring an infant to that show or toddler, whatever.
God bless you. I've seen them do it.
I know that's why I don't. It's like, no, no one's happy with the situation. And, God bless them. Parents, it's a hard thing. Like, maybe they want to go to the show for a week, but they can't arrange care for their kids. So you got to take the kid, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't really have a judgment other than that's not for us.
Right.
And so
I do, folks, but that's okay. It doesn't matter.
We can talk. I do have a judgment.
So you brought him in. He was sort of like Bane. You brought him in. He was like raised in a Comicon.
Yeah,
the child of 1,000 bastard fanboys.
He just likes video games and cool stuff. I mean, we're a media family, so I think 2017 was his first one, or 18, when he met the Philbach brothers, and they all hit it off, and he had a really good time in the show. It was still early. Like, Mimi doesn't really dig this show, so she like kind of took him around, and they went to all the parks and the zoos and stuff like that. And then 2019, it was more like, oh, okay, I get what's going on there, and he went to panels and stuff. then then of course 2020, 21, they didn't do the show, and last year we got COVID. So this is going to be his first one. I'm really looking forward to the show. I mean, I always do. I love it. On Sunday, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so tired." I'm like, "I'll do another 5." People telling you that you like your work and that, you know, I mean, I can't get sick of it.
Well, someday I will
really
make my
return. I get to share it with Walker.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Larry. But someday I will make my.
No,
return.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
My first stop will be booth 2001.
But we'll have water and Gatorade. Maybe.
And this year you've got a couple of books to show, including Walker's debut on the comic scene, right? I mean, really, this is his first scene. Okay, so let's bring in this young son of fun, Walker Young. I'm going to mute Larry and bring in Walker right now. Welcome, Walker.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Glad to be here. It's really, really fun.
Tons of fun, 2 tons of fun on this episode for everyone to enjoy. We're going to look at your comic today, but tell us what this thing is all about. Give us the elevator pitch for the Walker Young Untitled Comics project.
So this is this is a anthology series or anthology book that I've written, and it has 2 stories in it. One about a soldier whose friend gets blinded, and he has to lead him across this battlefield while stuff happens. And the second is about a modern noir detective story with a twist, as all great detective stories do.
Well, I gotta say, I read them, as I always do, right before the show starts. Like I try to freshen my memory. Sometimes it's like last time we did a show, I had 2 400-page graphic novels a guy sent me. And it took me a long time to get through this. What I like about this, one of the things I like about this, besides the high quality production values, which we will nitpick to death in just a minute, because that's what we do. That's what this show is about. I liked it because the stories told their stories. It was not a to be continued. It was a satisfying read. Sometimes when I'm reading something, I go like, "Oh, I've got 500 pages to go in this story, and this is the pacing." The person's like, you feel like it's gonna be a slog in this one because of the fun format of a single comic. I'm like, I know I'm gonna sit down and enjoy this and get up and like have time to come talk to Larry and Walker about it. So kudos on the pacing and the format and everything. How much of this did you do yourself? Come on. And how much of this is Nepo baby? You're leaning on Captain Fun.
Well, a lot of it was both of the stories that I wrote were originally supposed to be short films that I was going to do with my friends. And then I was like, my friends aren't actors and they can't pull off how good this is going to be. I don't have $1 million production value to make this what I want it to be. So I just turned it into comic book formatting, where I asked Captain over there how to properly format a comic. And he showed me some examples and he gave me some tips. And I started writing, and I took all of it and I go, okay, this bit I think should be 1 page. And because I've been reading comics for a while, I realized like, okay, every page needs to like mean something. So I would go, this is what this page means. This is what this page means. And I would just keep that in mind when I was writing it. So all of the writing was on my part. And then the artists and talking to them was the captain's idea. He sent the Going Dark to the Philbacks and discussing with them how to do stuff, and they were really good. They made changes, but they gave me all of their art that they did with all of their notes, and that really helped with coming up. That really helped teach me how to do stuff, and I've been bringing all of that into my my next work that I've been writing.
Well, I think It's got a couple things here. Each of the stories they're kind of small enough that like I could have seen you trying to do it, and I could have seen it not looking that great. Like as far as like it didn't look like a movie or a professional movie necessarily, because it's hard to do a war story. You got weapons, you got to have adults, you got to have actors, all these things that was like really hard to pull all together. And that's why things cost so much money. But all you had to do was get connected with the right team of artists. And one, but two, understand what you're talking about, the pacing, how to pace a comic book story. And now you've got a thing that's at a professional quality level. Like it's as good as a comic, you know, from anybody else. Like it's as production quality and just like look and feel and everything else. You're playing with the big boys at their level now automatically. Plus it's the springboard. It's for a pitch or whatever. If you wanted to turn these into short films or some other format, I think it's a really cool way to do it. But here we are talking about it. Wait a minute. Wait, Larry. Hey, Larry, Captain Fun wants to chime in. Chime in, Captain Fun.
Oh, I just wanted to say when somebody gives you such a decent compliment, Walker was just like overwhelmed. He's like, holy shit, a professional guy whose opinion I respect just told me I'm playing with the big boys. I don't fucking know what to do except smile. And so I just yelled at him. Just say thank you, because that's a decent compliment.
All right, shut up, Pops. Hang on a second. So well, now I'm not saying that you're Brian Hitch and Alan Moore and whatever. That's not what I'm not shining you like that. But what I'm saying is that like choosing your battlefield and your medium puts you at an automatic advantage to make something that you could make something of a higher quality level. And you succeeded for sure. But let's get into it. Okay. And there's a place that we go when we want to look at things. And you know what that place is called? You know where that place is?
We're on a mission.
Where is it?
The $1 Million Mailbox. So here we are with, oh my God, how many graphics can I cram into one screen? Let's find out. I've got you right next to your fellow San Francisco native and Mission Comics customer, Kurt Burdick, his Death of Power comic. Let me say, young man, you want to get a class in like, woo, next level comics, but I might need to see your ID before we can look at this. Sorry. So let's look at the Walker Young, untitled Walker Young comics project. I'm going to get in here and get it. Oh, so we can see the whole thing. Look at this regular comic size. Let's slide it out of the bag for a moment because it's going back in here for posterity. I'm sealing this thing.
Got to keep it preserved. That's going to be worth something one day. Mark my
God
words.
knows we would hate to wrinkle it up or anything like that. But wait a minute. Let's take a look at this thing. A really cool looking Bill Sienkiewicz-ish style type cover that I really like. And one of the things I always do is I look to the back cover just to see what's going on there. And I was happy to see that it's not just like blank or a barcode or something like that. But speaking of barcodes, wait a minute. Larry and I always talk to people about where's the price and where's the barcode on this, son. So where are we going to see this? What's the point? What's the purpose of this comic?
Well, as you said, we're going to San Diego. We're going to be selling stuff. This is a floor pitch comic. This is a takeaway for San Diego. You got to come up. The title isn't even on the cover. You gotta ask me and say my name. This is the Untitled Walker Young project.
How much is this thing going to set me back? What's the price tag going to be on this thing at San Diego?
We were thinking something around, I don't know, $5. It's a number one. That's what the normal stuff is going for.
Me and Larry, you're in sync. I'm like, this is a $5. This screams $5. If it's more than $5, I'm thinking hard about it. $5 is what a standard comic really costs these days. It's $4.99. It really is not $3.99 anymore. It's mostly $4.99 and above. So $5, that's fair. Will you do $4.99 or will you do $5 on your price tag? Just wondering. Captain, wait, let me chime in. Get a quick chime in from Captain Fun on that. Captain, what's the verdict on that?
I just somebody wants a penny back, we'll give them a penny, but I would probably the guys at the table would say, we don't have any pennies, but would you take a shield patch? You just whatever you can do to make the kids happy.
All right. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Captain. All right. We're trying to avoid the dreaded echo. So far, we're there. We're there so far. Okay. Now, let's open this thing up. And I got to talk to you about, Larry, man the comments. Please feel free to whatever comes up. Let's talk about this piece on the inside cover. Where did this come from? I think I've seen this before in my legendary tour of the Fun Cave. Didn't I? Is this that picture that you have down there, Larry? No. Who drew this?
That's from Justin Randall.
Okay. You had it like a Nick Darrington, was it? Picture down there?
That's the astronaut one.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay.
Except it's landscape.
Okay. Wait a minute. So Walker, let's talk Going Dark for a sec.
Okay.
Because this is my favorite story. I'm just going to open it up. This for sure is my favorite because, and I don't know if you are, but I'm a big fan of Joe Kubert and Sergeant Rock and Enemy Ace and that kind of era of war comics. And this sort of takes me back to that. Is it what's your experience with that stuff?
Sergeant Rock is definitely a great one. They did recently, I think maybe a few months ago, they just finished up the miniseries Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, and that was really good. Yep, got it right there. And a lot that definitely really inspired this comic a lot. And some of the movies I was watching, movies and shows. I was watching Band of Brothers at the time, and
The best.
to show how much I love like World War II stories, I'm replaying Call of Duty World War II like right now. So that's really fun. Wake up, shoot some Nazis, and then I'm like, all right.
That's a good way to start the day for sure.
Yeah.
So the art style, this looks like this is, you said the Philback brothers. It gives me, when I look at it, the art style kind of reminds me of like, I don't know if you know, underground cartoonist San Francisco legend Spain, rest in peace. But it kind of reminds me of that with the stark black inking. No grays here. It's like it's black or it's white on this page. Tell me about these guys. What might we have seen the Philback brothers do that we could look for?
They've done, if I'm not mistaken, they've done some Star Wars comics. They're great. They do professionals in every sense of the word. They're amazing. This was the first story I wrote, and I just handed it to them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we know what to do with this," and then just like went away so above and beyond. They did such a good job. I smile every time I see it.
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but it's an emotional story. It's a war story, and there's action. There's fire. Guns are fired in this story, but it's not really what you think of about a war story. And it's really about like an interesting bit of emotion and relationship between the two, like one person who's totally reliant on another person. And I found it interesting in that way, and absolutely not what I was expecting out of the gate from this story. Loved it. Favorite story of the book for sure. There's a little bit. I also love little bits of well graphically designed insert filler material that just has the whiff of Captain Fun about it. I'm sorry, it's got the stink of fun. That I loved it. Nice little additional material, like similar to what you might find in an Ed Brubaker comic, maybe, where like the material there is filler, but it's not just there to fill, like it's worth reading unto itself, and often is, chunkier than the material, the comic itself, as far as what you can get out of it. Now, here's the second story. This was my second favorite story in this anthology book. Tell me about the concept here. And we don't want to give away any of the secrets or anything, but just give us a whiff of what this character is about and the story is about.
This is called The Missing. It's about a character, starring a character I created called Jack Fry, who is your normal detective, solving crimes, closing cases, and just with a twist.
Okay.
What's the twist? You'll have to read and find out.
Well, exactly. So this art style. This is a style I really enjoy. Very European influenced, in my opinion. Kind of looks a little bit, animation, almost like a Powers or a Bruce Timm animation inspired stuff, but also just with something different. Who did this art? How did you get in contact with this artist?
So the artist's name is Daniel Caval, and we found him, I believe, on Connecting Artists and Writers. Is that? Yep. Okay, I got the nod. That's where we found him, on the Facebook group Connecting Artists and Writers, and he was great.
I've never heard of that group before. That's cool.
Yeah, sounds great. But yeah, it was really fun to work with him. This was during the finals, like around the time of finals at school.
This is what I was trying to say. Avon, Weeming. Powers, the Powers guy. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice stuff.
Yeah. This was around the time of finals during my school year. So it was great to be in chemistry, my least favorite class, and just get a text and be like, oh, hey, and lean over to my friend and go, I got the new art. And he'd be like, yeah. So Jasper, shout out. He's actually right there on the page.
So tell me a little bit about your process, like a full script, Marvel method. What's your thing? How do you do this thing?
Just full script.
Yeah.
Like I want everything to be laid out. I want everything to be laid out. I want to take the pictures in my mind and put them into words and hand them to the artist and go, I would like this, please. And then
so you're giving a description of panel 1, panel 2, giving a description of what goes on, the words and the pictures. Are you also providing like thumbnails as far as how the panels are placed, or is that up to the artist that you're working with? That's
up to the artist. Writing and drawing is super collaborative, and passing finals, I don't know about that, but we English one, I passed that one. Don't worry about my English grade. We like it's 100% a collaborative thing. Like two people are working on it, and then you bring in publishers and blah blah blah. So you have to have a certain amount of trust for what the artist is doing. So like with the Fillbox, I didn't really say panel 1 or panel 2. I just said what I wanted to have happen on the page, and then I handed it to them, and they were like, oh, we see what you're doing. And they just drew this masterpiece, and it's amazing. But when I wrote The Missing with Daniel Caval as artist, I more wrote panel by panel, and that was fun because I hadn't done that before.
Okay, tell me about the production and the layout and all of that stuff. Who's doing all that? Is that you?
That I had some say in it, but that was mostly Padre on top. He did the layout because he's been in this longer than I have, so he has all of the computers, all of the fonts. He did some of the lettering, and all of the layout. But we would print them out, and I would look over them, and I would go, oh, I think we could do this here. And we would have these like hour talks at like 8 at night when we just wanted to go to bed. But we would just talk for like an hour, just like, okay, well, here's what we should do tomorrow. And then we would work on it, and we were just powerhousing through this like throughout throughout like June, we were just doing so well.
Excuse me for caressing the finish on this beautiful cover. Tell me about the cover art and the cover artist.
The cover is an art by Ken Knutson. I have the original art actually over here in my office, right over there. You can't see it, but it's off screen. But it's amazing. I look at it every day when I come down here. It's just,
Ken
it's
Knutson
so
of the Kenosha Knutsons? No, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
It's he's
My monkey's name is Jennifer.
he's from My Monkey's Name is Jennifer.
Ah, yes.
I have a ton of his art down here. It's amazing. He's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so this thing is not so. There's no price tag on this though. There's no UPC or anything like that. So it's not meant to be sold in comic stores. This is a Comicon exclusive, folks. And I just want to say this might also be a $1 million mailbox exclusive. I think this is the first time the world is getting to see these pages. Is that right?
Yep, you're the first person to display this publicly.
Okay, and so what's the goal? Like, what's the goal here? You're going to be hand selling these guys at San Diego, but what's the dual purpose here? What else do you want to be able to use this thing for, if anything?
College applications.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. God, yes. Dude, who's giving a full-fledged comic book? What I love about it is it feels like a comic. It doesn't feel like you're trying to have pretensions of here's my graphic novel. It's like, no, here's my first comic book, folks. This is easy. It's approachable. You give me a thick graphic novel, it's going to take me maybe weeks to read it. This thing, I'm reading it for sure. Like, I'm at least cracking the cover and getting in there, and then the rest is up to your storytelling abilities, Walker.
Even so, like, because it's an anthology, it cuts it into like bite-sized pieces. So if you're like, oh, it's comic, I don't know, maybe I don't have time to read this because I'm so busy. The president needs me on call. I can't read these 32 pages. Like, it's okay. I can't read those 32 pages. But how about this 10? How about these 10 pages about these soldiers? And then come back to it when you're ready.
Sure. In the 80s, I would have one phone, I'm talking to New York, and the other phone, I'm talking to Tokyo and the stock exchange. And then in the middle is Walker's, like, because I'm a busy guy, I'm a busy businessman, but I've still got time for the untitled Walker Young Project, which I jokingly say, but that's the name, folks. The Untitled Walker Young Project. It says here, published by Front Yard Comics. And production and design by Cutler Group SF. Info, there's an email address, info@dorkcourt.com. Right? Is that where we want to try and send people? What if the literally dozens of people who might be watching this thing wanted to get one of these? How can they get one?
We haven't set up a store, a link yet, but it's coming.
After San Diego.
After San Diego, we're gonna when we see what we have, it's once we see what we have, we're gonna set up a link on Dork Court where you can buy Larry Young's Shield book. There it is, prominently displayed. And there you will also, after San Diego, so I think that's 25th, July 25th. That's when these will come on sale on
Oh, that's my birthday.
dorkcourt.com.
That's my
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Yeah, 25.
Happy early birthday.
July 25th. Let me just say, you've learned to let you publishers and your San Diego exclusives before the retailers can get it. When all my retailer friends who are watching this are all going to understand this, right? And then their customers are going there and they can only get that thing there and they'll get it and they'll come back. But yet, the smart retailers won't complain about that because you're building buzz for a thing that they're trying to build awareness for anyway. In your case, it's a different story though, right? This is the direct age. Retailers didn't really factor into your thinking, or did it?
I take this one.
Yeah.
Captain Fun, you got it. You want to take this, the business side?
Yeah. So here was.
Oops, wait. Yeah, go. Wait, oh wait. You're muted. Wait, you muted yourself.
Am I good?
Yes,
Can you
now
hear
you're
me
good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The the thinking for this project is it was initially a takeaway. Walker's just wanted to show, like, look, I'm not going to be wasting your time. If I come and tell you I got the pitch for Miles Morales that's going to make you forget Brian Bendis made up the character, like, that's nonsense coming from anybody else. But if you hand that to an editor, just read those 10 pages before you say anything.
Dude, totally.
And then they'll go, okay, well, maybe not Miles Morales, pal, but like we got this, Metamorpho that's coming out that would, pitches something. So it's not really a retail product, because the idea is this is a thing that we get him to the stage where the retailers can
totally
take the money too.
Okay, wait a minute. Shut up, Cap. Wait a minute. Unmute yourself, Walker. Unmute yourself. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So you know who Mark Miller is? Mark Millar?
Yes.
He wrote Kick-Ass. He wrote Wanted. He wrote so many things that you've seen. And his first comic, do you know what his first Larry, do you know what his first comic? Professional comic, his first professional comic writing gig was Sonic the Hedgehog. Right. And so he got that because those comics exist and somebody has to write them. And he kept submitting and he had stuff to submit. And he met editors and he went to Comicons and he met editors and he got his comic in their hands. So if you do nothing else, you do that and you schmooze up to an editor. And, if they're nice, they're at least going to give you constructive criticism, and you'll have and you'll have a person you could contact and maybe bounce future work off of or whatever. And you're going to be on their radar. So kudos to you, dude. This is way better than a stupid resume or a fancy business card. And, because it's literally all of those things plus like a portfolio built into one. So good job. All right. Walker, yeah, you're a man of few words, I know. But give us the your final pitch. Tell us, what am I going to tell? Tell us I don't know. Tell us what you want to, where you want people to do next.
Enjoy it. Feel some kind of emotion. When you read it, I want you to go, well, I don't want you to go, hey, that was good. That was great. Because you'll feel how you feel. You go, hey, those stories sucked. I didn't like Untitled Walker Young Project. You got to say my name when you say the title. You refer to the book. You can't go, I didn't like that Untitled Project. Because what are you talking about? You have to specify the Untitled Walker Young Project. And then
all right.
My name's out there.
And that's just the first of many times we're going to be hearing that name, Walker Young. Now, Walker, I've been trying to tell your dad to get you to watch this thing on YouTube. You got to promise me. I did this thing for you. You got to go watch some Dynamo Dream. And then you got to come maybe on the Star Trek show and talk about it. I want to talk about, because we're going to run out of professionally written and produced, Writers Guild approved content. So like we got to absorb the world of indie content. And that's, I think, the world that you're destined to be at least involved with. Like, I think the old stuff is going away, and then it's the new stuff is kind of like you can kind of do it yourself, right? What do you think about that?
I 100%. I'll watch whatever good advice you give me. Yeah. But I don't think that like big budget things are going away. Like the Writers Guild's gonna win. You have to. Sure,
I'm really not sure.
But because people complain about, all of this, the writers, it's just they're rebooting everything. I've seen it before. I've read it. That's one of my friend's problem with comics. He's like, why do I keep wanting to read the same Batman story 9 times? And so people are like, oh yeah, let's bring in AI and write scripts. That's fresh and new. But the only thing that's fresh and new is that it's not humans doing it. AI learns from past things. So if they watch Game of Thrones, sure, they can write a Game of Thrones episode, but it's going to be like a repeated story. You have to.
Very derivative, right? Yeah. I mean, extremely. Literally derivative, like derived directly from the writings of other people. We go back and forth. We talk about this a lot on this show we call Serious Star Trek, which no one in your age bracket really watches
Oh
Walker.
no, we freshman year we got the entire lunch table coming in there.
Oh, I remember that. We haven't seen you guys in a while though. What's going on?
We haven't. New lunch crew, different schedules. I eat lunch at like 11.
Oh, we did switch up our schedule too and
Yeah.
changed up our time slot.
You switched up on us. What were we supposed to do?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, I got to get out of here. We had a fun time today talking about this. I hope you have a great time in San Diego. Captain
Thank
Fun,
you.
any parting shots, Captain Fun?
I'm just sitting here laughing that John Price gets interrupted every time he tries to say something, and then we know just mute my microphone now.
We'll definitely be using that in future episodes. Now, but next week it's going to be a Captain Fun free episode where we talk about a wacky Spock episode. Can you imagine the steam that's shooting out of John Price's ears right now?
He's sorry that episode even exists, which is hilarious. I'm sorry we're gonna miss it because that's when we're driving down to San Diego.
And spoiler, I watched about half of it. I laughed at a lot of it. Like,
oh my god, we watched it twice in 12 hours.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, right? It's good. Okay,
yeah.
That's enough.
I loved it. That was my favorite.
All right.
It was. I just want to say
one more thing.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody in the comment section, especially El Crudo. That was fucking great, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for all the kind words for Walker, you guys.
Walker, parting words.
I just wanted to hop in on that Star Trek thing. Human Spock, it's the best. I love it. It was amazing.
It was good, right? Okay, yeah. That's what I thought.
I was upset we didn't get to see drunk Spot. He was drinking with the girls, and we didn't get to see him hungover. Like, what? You can't be human and not hungover.
I love the fact that's human stink to Vulcans. To me, like, that's all I'm gonna say. That alone made the whole episode like really good. Okay, this is the wrong show for that. Thank you guys. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Walker. Thanks, Larry. I'm gonna pull you guys out. I'm gonna give a little quick spiel, and then I'm out of here. Thanks, Captain. Guys, thank you for watching. Wasn't that fun? Captain Fun, that is. And Walker, young son of young Captain Fun, something like that. Captain Fun Jr. Man, speaking of AI, I went to AI for the thumbnails, guys. That's where these came from, except for the background. I apologize. I'm mixed. I've got mixed emotions on the whole strike thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, on the whole strike thing, and whether I should continue supporting corporate media or should we just make a clean break and go off on the indie bandwagon. That's where I think Walker's headed. That's where I think my mind is headed. Like, I've seen enough reboots of reboots. Let's get to the fresh stuff that's just highly derivative of those things in the past. Doesn't have to be doesn't have to have the Starfleet logo on it. Just make a thing that's pretty Star Trek. I think that's what they did with the Orville, right? And it works. Like, people love it. Star Trek fans love it. So what that tells me now is we're in a post-IP age where the brand has almost transcended. It's like Star Trek is not really like a brand name. It's like Kleenex or Xerox, right? It's like something can be Star Trek-y without being owned by Paramount. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. Anyway, it's a brave new world out there. Thank you, everybody who watches and supports this show. There's not a humongous army of thousands of you out there, but there is a loyal following of several hundred people that tune into this show and watch it and watch my interviews and look at the comics that me and Larry look at and comment and interact and are part of, dare I say it, a community. So thanks for being part of that. And if you want to see your comics here as part of that community, you know where you can send them. Send them to the $1 Million Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. We'll spread them out. We'll take them in, put them in the $1 Million Mailbox and check them out. Thanks again for watching. I will see you, next Tuesday without Larry for Serious Star Trek. And then I've got comic shows coming up. I'm supposed to have Jim Rugg back in here soon. We don't have that nailed down, and a bunch of other returning and possibly new guests. And we'll see you here for one of them. And next time.
So I say, it's not Frankenstein, you moron. It's Frankenstein's monster.
By Cromlin, you sure showed him.